Hello and welcome back to the show. New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo announced his resignation recently. Attorney General Letitia James' investigation against the governor found that he sexually harassed 11 women, including 9 former and current state employees. But the question is, what does the governor's resignation mean for the city as we're approaching now a transition? Joining us to share more details is the founding partner at the Boyd Law Group, Patrick J. Boyd. And Patrick, good to have you.
Nice to be here again. Thank you.
Well, let's start off. I mean, we haven't talked too much about it, but your thoughts on the governor's resignation?
Somewhat surprising, I think, Darren, and I think the governor himself conceded that he had a very different reaction initially to some of the charges. He came out very aggressively defending himself and declaring that he would not leave. He's pivoted and now said that his sort of initial fight reaction, the allegations and charges, was just sort of a natural reaction. But now that he's thought it through, he's changed his position. So I'm certainly surprised.
Yeah,
a lot of people are.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people were surprised, but there were a lot of people who were actually calling for the governor's resignation and saluting the women for such bravery to be able to come out and to be able to tell their stories. Ironically, a woman will now take over. Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul is getting set to take the reins as governor of the state of New York. What does this transition mean by way of, we talked a lot about legislation and things that have been in the loophole, in the balance. What does this transition mean for all the stuff that we've been talking about where we're waiting on the governor's signature, this could possibly happen? Does it set it back a lot?
It's hard to know at this point, of course. The resignation was so recent. Certainly, this lieutenant governor is experienced. And as you say, it is going to be a powerful development to have a first female governor of the state. It's unfortunate that it had to come on the heels of a male governor resigning because of sexual harassment. That is the inequality that he was opportunity for a female governor leader. But Lieutenant Governor Hochul is very accomplished, and I think all of us as New Yorkers have faith and confidence that she'll do a great job.
Yeah. Give me more from where we go from here. I mean, obviously, the governor resigns, and that's coming up in a few days. But aside from that, there's still a potential criminal investigation, we understand?
Sure. I mean, I think there's two important things to consider. Number one, his resignation does not necessarily mean that the impeachment process cannot continue. And there has been some, at least initial expression that some of the parties involved may continue to investigate and pursue impeachment. The results would seemingly be to preclude him from ever holding state office again. And obviously, that's an important consideration in terms of what the governor might do and what the people of New York will want. There's also these criminal ramifications. That is, some of the charges or assault charges that would have criminal ramifications. The Attorney General has not said for certain that he will pursue criminal charges, but rather that he's going to consider the other evidence that comes to light. As we all know, the standards for criminal prosecution are far higher than standards for civil liability. Notably, also, the statute of limitations in New York is 2 years. So a lot of these women who were brave enough to come forward have come forward for things that happened quite some time ago. So some of the allegations that have been corroborated wouldn't be prosecutable offenses just because they happened so long ago. So two things to look out for. Politically speaking, what's going to happen to the governor in terms of further process towards impeachment and ramifications for his career. And two, what criminal efforts might be made towards some prosecution of him. I think the former and the latter are things that are brand new for us to try and consider. They're things we're going to have to watch in this unique time for our state.
Yeah. Share with me a little bit about Attorney General Letitia James. I mean, obviously, she's the one who led the investigation and announced the charges that were coming against the governor. The allegations were actually founded. A lot of people saying now that she's been able to really get the governor out of office, that she possibly could see some more political increase in her career.
I think that's certainly the case. I mean, the most insightful offering that I can make right now is that the depth and the breadth of the investigation was sincere and remarkable. Some 175 plus witnesses were interviewed. More than 7,000 pages of discovery were considered, and the two attorneys that she appointed to be in charge of the investigation were very highly respected attorneys with good, solid track records. I know from the employment bar, Ann Clark did a lot of the investigating. A very reputable, well-respected woman. So the investigation was well done. It was thorough. It seems that the results, while damning, were unquestionably well thought out and well reasoned. And when somebody's capable of doing that and managing so well a team that investigates so thoroughly and quite frankly so quickly with a public report, I think that's something that's remarkable that Ms. James has accomplished.
Yeah. So when we look at the allegations and the investigation, anything particular really stuck out for you? We did see victims come out and actually speak publicly. What was it that really stuck out for you?
I think two things, and we talked about one of the two things before. That is, a lot of these women, because their claims were so old, didn't have anything politically, I'm sorry, anything financially to gain from coming forward and bringing the claims, which adds to their credibility, right? These were not women who were going to get monetary rewards for what they've done. I think the second thing, which is relatively damning for Governor Cuomo, is that what they said was that the specifics of the allegations against him were compelling, and that in response he offered very blanketed, just general "I didn't do it" or denials. So the specifics of the allegations stood in stark contrast to the general "I didn't do it" or "I forget" kind of responses that he was offering, which I think goes to it's a good highlight to consider in terms of the quality of the investigation, the nuances they were looking into, and the conclusions that came from it.
Yeah. In the governor's speech announcing his resignation, we did hear contrition, but at the same time, some said not a full acceptance of his responsibilities.
Uh, I think that's a fair assessment of what most people took away from it. He's been a hard-charging political force for a long time, and I think that in any situation where that happens, there's a accept or concede defeat or loss and these kind of things, and I think we saw that with the governor's reaction. And
Yeah. What about the fact of, people say he wasn't that contrite. And I was talking with a buddy of mine who said, well, if you're a legal person, you don't want him to say too much because you don't want to incriminate yourself any further. True? Untrue?
very fair point, right? There's both the political forum he has to battle with still, with the impeachment process and the impact this will have on his legacy and his opportunity to carry office ever again. And then there are these criminal charges which are lingering, and still could be investigated and still tried. So any major concession as to any factual circumstance could be something that could be held against him later. And I think that's a fair observation that perhaps his lawyers would have coached him to be cautious about that while still trying to be um, politically genuine, if you will.
Mhm. Any big surprises in all of this for you?
But besides the actual resignation, which in and of itself surprised me, um, I don't know that there are any other. Yeah, I don't know that there are any other huge surprises beyond his resignation, and the fact that initially he was so confrontational about the allegations. So the quick turn of events is surprising, and I would wonder, as I suspect some conspiracy theorists might wonder, whether there was some kind of negotiation about his resignation that we don't have full insight into at this point in time.
Yeah, a lot of conspiracies going around, including former President Donald Trump's name inserted amongst the conspiracies. But we can't go by conspiracies. Only we can do is go by the facts. And the fact is, New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo has announced his resignation. Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul will be taking the reins in a short time. We'll have more about that coming up on next week's Open. But I want to thank you, Patrick, for joining us here and being with us and giving us some insight into this.
It's my pleasure, and have a great day.
All right. Now, if you want to get connected with Patrick, all you got to do is hit him on the website, theboydlawgroup.com, and you can find out more information about him and the work that he does there. Listen, I want you to stay with us. We got more Open coming up. Open continues right after this.